Be unapologetically and authentically yourself. And if that gets you doors slammed in your face, that's okay. Those are not your people. You need to understand your own authenticity, and that is what's going to drive you. That's what's going to bring out your superpowers, energize you. Whether that's career, whether that's your own business, whether that's starting a community, find what makes you you, and your people will come.
Welcome to Extraordinary Stories. I'm your host, Forbes Shannon, and in studio today, I have two awesome guests. I have a guest co-host,
Tomás León.
Tomás is here, and our awesome guest, a successful entrepreneur, a leader in many different communities, both locally, nationally, and just got back internationally. Um, I'm really happy to have you, and I'm so excited to hear the story about what you've built. Yasmin Rivera-Klein, thanks for being here.
Thanks so much for having me. So excited to be here.
So Yasmin, you were nominated by Tomás. How do you know Tomás?
So funny enough, I met Tomás through a nomination, and Tomás was nominated for the Executive of the Year award, which is part of the nonprofit Alpha Phoenix, which I'm the president of as well. And he won. He was,
It was an honor.
and then I met him at another community event prior to him actually receiving the award. So we got to meet in person beforehand. So at an Angeles Investors. So it was very cool to see you in person again as we've run in since that nomination so many times. So thank you for nominating me.
It's my
Tomás.
pleasure. Shannon, this was an easy nomination.
Easy nom.
We just celebrated International Women's Day,
Mm.
and I've had amazing women in my life. Obviously, my wife Wendy, and my mother, and my sisters, and some mentors of mine. But meeting Yasmin was just inspiring. So looking at what she's done to establish the local chapter here for Alpha, National Association of Latino Professionals for America, and becoming recognized nationally as the chapter of the year, and just all of what I've experienced, just getting to know you. Easy one.
Easy one.
Very inspiring leader, and I was super excited to nominate.
Thank you so much, Tomás.
Well, I'm really glad you're here. We're going to talk a little bit about what you've built, but I kind of want to talk about you
Yeah.
first. I mean, we were kind of bonding over the fact that you're on the younger side of what you've been able to accomplish,
Mhm.
and I'm sure you get this question all the time, so I'm not just going to beat it to death. But what's it like being young and successful in a field where you're surrounded by mentors?
Yeah, absolutely. So I will say, being the youngest in the room, oftentimes, sometimes the only woman, sometimes the only Latina, um, it comes with its gifts and it comes with its challenges. The gifts feel like being a voice for others and championing what my community, what my generation sees and how we perceive the world and what our needs are, especially when we look at digitizing everything, not
Yeah.
being afraid of AI, really collaborating or in-person engagement, right? And how important community is for us. On the downsides, right? Some people may not understand our perspective. They may not value it as much because they may not understand what experience do you have. They are not as open-minded to understanding what that experience is. So double-edged sword, but I think that there's so much power in our age and the lens that we bring into the table.
Power in our age. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, part of what inspired me is what you've been able to accomplish at such a young age. And so, Shannon, I see a leader here, and Yasmin, that's very grounded in who she is. Tell us a little bit about who you are, right? Your cultural and
Yeah.
heritage roots, and what laid the foundation for your success today.
Absolutely. So for me, I grew up in Bridgeport, Connecticut, which
Cool.
is an inner city. And so for any Puerto Ricans listening out there, 100% Boricua, 100% Puerto Rican, and very community based, very close and tight knit. And the community I grew up in, it was really bound by immigrants, built by immigrants. We're about an hour train ride from New York City. So a lot of immigrants would either commute to the city to go work or work back in Connecticut. And I just loved how close everyone was. Now, in my built and fighting in community, I started working when I was about 14. which I'm so grateful for that experience. I think I've done everything. I've done waitressing, retail, kind of everything on that side. Decided to be crazy, move across the country to Arizona,
Yeah.
and go to Arizona State University. And then there I studied finance and political science. I loved my experience, decided to work in public accounting. And I graduated May 2020, the best time to graduate college.
My.
And then worked in public accounting. The world was flipping upside down, right? And I also worked in finance, and then I decided to change careers altogether because I had such a passion in my volunteer work to help others who are underrepresented find job opportunities, start businesses. So decided to continue my volunteer path, changed careers. That's where I worked at Nationwide. At Nationwide, I convinced them to design a role for me and give me a blank canvas. And they sort of convinced me because I was convinced I was going to be the first Fortune 500 Latina CFO.
Right.
And then they decided, hey, we have this blank canvas role. We'd love for you to lead diversity recruitment for early careers in Scottsdale. Everything was virtual, so they decided to let me do all across the country for the entire company.
Wow.
And I was so grateful for that, but I was only 23. And I learned so much, and there were so many naysayers, and that just fueled me even further. And so continued my progress at Nationwide, got a couple promotions, and ended up leading all of employer branding, all of the event experiences, conferences, um, and also some international work as they were expanding internationally. And then decided, if I could get phone calls and I can run agencies and I can manage $1 million budgets, I should probably do this full time and I should do
Yeah.
it on my own. And then volunteer side, I also am the president of the Association of Latino Professionals for America, or ALPFA Phoenix chapter. And it's been such a whirlwind. I lead 35 incredible volunteers. So we run it as a business, as a nonprofit, but we're 100% volunteer based. So we do not get anything in return. We just do it for love of the community and celebrating incredible leaders.
It's just listening to your background and your heritage and roots, and it just makes sense why when we met, you made me feel like family right away.
Mm.
You're very engaging that way and creating that kind of atmosphere. And I would imagine, that's what you've done with the volunteers at Alpha and
Mhm.
everything you've done where you kind of make people feel at home and family and then create that, um, whiteboard space, right? That
Yes. Yeah.
for creativity and innovation. I mean, you're a
Yes.
creator, you're an innovator, and you found a way to bring people into that space to empower
Mhm.
them to do the same. I'd like to get to talk about a little bit more about Alpha, and then eventually, something that I'm excited about in terms of your new venture.
Yeah.
But before we get there, who have been some people in your life that have inspired you and guided you along this
Great question.
journey? I mean, and
Yeah.
this journey is like you're a young next gen leader that's already accomplishing so much in such a short period of time. But who have been some of those people?
So I will say I'd love to give credit to an incredible Latina leader who saw something in me I didn't. And so she was at Nationwide. She saw my work at Alpha, and she was the one who gave me the opportunity to switch careers and work under her. But it took that Latina voice who's an executive to see something in me and say, wow, I think you have something that I didn't see in myself. So she was just such a powerhouse. I got hired and then she ended up leaving to take another executive role at a different company.
Yeah.
And I was heartbroken,
Yeah.
but it took that one chance she took to help impact my entire life, to start my own career journey and really take me on a different path. And then um, another person I don't know gets enough credit is my husband, funny enough. I
Yeah.
met him when we were both working in corporate finance, and I always saw myself as this black and white person.
Yeah.
1 + 1 is 2. I loved calculus. I love numbers. And he was like, "You're just not the way you see the world, the way you see data and finance. You're very creative." And I was like, "You're crazy. Don't know what like I love finance. This is where I belong." And so he helped inspire me to try different things, get out of my comfort zone. And I used to run at that time when we first met a social media management business just for fun.
Yeah.
He was getting his
Yeah.
master's. He's very ambitious. And I said, oh, if he could do something, I can go do something
Yeah.
even better.
Yeah.
And so he inspired me and gave me that power in my own voice of saying, you know what? I am more than just numbers. I can also be really creative and come up with ideas and strategies. So,
I love that you recognize your lifelong partner, right? You
mhm.
complement one another, encourage each other, and push each other to achieve greatness. And I feel that way about my wife, Wendy. So, she's been a great life coach and encourager, supporter, sometimes putting the mirror up to
Yep.
me, right? It's
Yes,
like, hey,
yes, yes.
a little correction and, gentle nudge here and there. But, for the most part, it's been, just as you mentioned about your life partner. So it's great that
Well, the red thread that I'm picking up on here, said this word a couple times already, community.
Mhm,
From the community in your hometown to
mhm.
the community out here to the community of leaders that you volunteer with. What role does community play in your life? And on the flip side, what role do you like to think that you play in your community?
I'd say community for me is just everything. It's the foundation of my own business because I want people at Agency 27, we create our tagline is where brand meets experience. And
Okay.
so we want brands to come to life and people to feel them and take them home. And that starts with identifying who the community is. Where do we connect with them? And I just love engaging with different organizations and bringing their strategies to life, but also creating that safe space for others. I think being the youngest in the room for me, I've learned firsthand our voices aren't always heard. People aren't always asking us to speak up. They don't want to hear us. And so I want to create a space where everyone feels valued. Everyone knows they have an idea. We want to hear from you. Every perception is valued because, we have something to bring to the table, no matter your age, no matter your background.
Yeah, and that's what I experience,
Mm.
with Alpha. I go to a lot of charity events, corporate events.
Yeah.
And last year I went to the best event of the year. Not because, they were giving me an award, but no, it really was because of the experience. And my wife said the same thing. My sisters, my mentors, my guests that went to that Alpha event, it was the total experience. The theme, the food, the location, the
Mhm.
flow, the creativity, the experiences within that event. I mean, it was, we left feeling really good,
Oh, good.
and,
Yeah.
and inspired by the stories. I mean, there was, so you did create that overall experience, and that makes sense why you ended up being recognized as the chapter of nationally, right? So tell me a
Yes.
little bit more about, how that came to be and,
Ooh,
why
yeah.
National said, "Hey, we're gonna put a spotlight on Phoenix," and obviously your leadership had a
Yeah.
lot to do with it and your, powerful volunteer group, your
Yes.
community that you
Yes.
created.
Yeah, I think what every chapter is amazing. They do their own spin on what community looks like for their own respective groups, right? And so in Chicago, you'll see different things with the Cubs or the hot dogs and coffee, and so things that are really true to that community. LA, they just ran the LA Marathon. Miami, they've done events on boats, which I'm jealous of. And so here in Phoenix, what we really leaned into just being such an entrepreneurial community is empowering our Latino leaders that work on corporate, that start their own business, that have their own businesses, but creating an equal space for everyone. And so in Phoenix, we wanted to be really intentional to expand that even further and say, what are the industries people don't think about and where do they not see Latinos in often? And so one of them is sports.
Okay.
And so for me, I was working at Nationwide at this time. This was a couple years ago, and I got invited to a golf event, which was incredible. I was one of the few women and definitely the only Latina, and I said no because I had never golfed before, and I said I'm not going to
Mm.
be with executives and embarrass people. I don't want to be,
Interesting.
the young girl who doesn't
Mm.
know what she's doing.
Okay.
So I declined. And
Fair.
then I came to regret that months later because there was an executive saying, "Oh, I was hoping to speak with you." And so I felt like I turned down opportunities I didn't know where they would have taken me. I could have
Yeah.
started a different career opportunity. I could have
Mhm.
gotten, started at a different company. You never know when you say no. And so I decided on LinkedIn to reach out to PGA of America, and their chief HR officer responded to us and
That's so cool.
it got on a Zoom call. And myself and my friend Norbs, who works for the Chicago Cubs, he's one of the few Latinos in the sports
Right.
industry, and he works in player development. we were able to kind of share the story of expanding leadership access to not only play the game of golf, but have access to work there because it's so networking based. So we started our own golf clinic with PJ of America and Troon and a couple of other incredible initiatives that started as just fun ideas of when we bring and come together in community and say, what are the spaces we want to be in and how do we create them? How do we make it possible not only for us, but for the greater Phoenix community and beyond? And so I think I can't say how National decides. There's a lot of metrics, but I think what inspired them and wowed them the most was our unique programming to create access points to places we've never been before.
Yeah. So you're creating spaces for people to connect, to do business, to create, to be successful. I need to go to that clinic. I'm not a very good golfer. I know I'm going to be there, but I tell people I'm an entertainment golfer. Right? If you golf with me, you're going to have a great time. You know? And so, but a lot of business is done on the course, right? So I've done a lot of deals on the golf course.
Absolutely.
You know, and despite my bad game, you know, but we have a great time and we build relationships and we develop ideas, partnerships. A lot of stuff happens there. So love that you're creating that space for creativity and business and community and entrepreneurism. You know, and you took that passion for creating experiences. And one of the coolest parties I went to last year was your party. So, and you know, I'm like,
I got to hear about this party.
Yeah. Well, you know, it was just not a party. It was a launch party and a birthday party. Tell us about that because that leads into this unique name for your company, right? So tell us. I would love people to hear about this story.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think last year I hit a wall in burnout. Just working, I traveled a ton for work. I was doing a ton with ALPFA, and I loved it because I love to work. But I felt like something was missing. I was like, I want to kind of do this on my own. I want to be the decision maker. People are calling me. And so I felt like I needed to start a business. I had this push. People kept telling me you need to start a business for years now. And so my 27th birthday was coming. It's my lucky number. My birthday is 12/27, which is when the party was. And so it's my golden
birthday.
My golden birthday. And I was like, you know what? I did it within less than a month. I quit my job, decided to throw a party, start a full-time business. And so we did that on December 27th. And the theme was golden. And Tomás and Wendy, his wife, came. So we had a calligrapher. We had
so cool.
Gold drinks. We had the photo booth. We had so much fun. And so thank you for coming to that as well.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah. So that's where we started Agency 27, which is a full service events and marketing company. So it's been a whirlwind since. Since a couple months ago.
Well, I don't know what you were doing at age 27, but I wasn't starting a company at age 27.
No. And the branding is brilliant. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Agency 27 on your 27th birthday, which was your golden birthday. So, I'm picking up on a red thread here where you talk about blank canvases. You talk about these questions of, where could we go that we aren't currently? And then at the same time, you said like, there was almost like this self-doubt of like, well, I'm not creative. I'm a math person. So it seems like creativity has been pretty obvious for everyone else that you are creative, but maybe you had to like surrender to that. Like what was that process like of embracing your creativity?
It was really difficult because I was always the person that loved math, loved numbers, loved saving money since I was like 7. I took my birthday money and I'd have different piggy banks and organized it. And so I just felt like, if you want to be successful, it's kind of what they condition you a lot of time when you're younger and you're going to college. It's study finance, get the good career, get the job. And I thought that was success. Becoming a CFO was what I deemed as that's my only path, right? Because I'm talented in this space, I can't be talented in other things. So I think it was just that limited mindset. And so once I was able to kind of open that up and say, Yasmin, open the box. You're creating these things for other people. They love it. This is something, to try to tap into it, try to expand it, try to grow it. And I was able to turn that in with ALPFA. And then eventually when I changed careers to at Nationwide. So yeah.
I love the name. It's so catchy.
Yeah.
And the story behind it. It's a great story to tell. And
I got to ask, why events?
So I was doing events at Nationwide. Of course, I do them with ALPFA.
Right.
I love bringing people together. I love having them feel something. And I think that that's the future of marketing as well. I see a lot of evolvement, right? We've seen traditional influencer marketing that's dying. You see
Yeah.
influencers throwing events in person to expanding the PR they once got to make a get ready with me video. And now they're doing it with Pilates classes to try
Right.
to expand it and have other people post and have other
Yeah.
people
Mhm.
experience it in person to create that brand for the company, right? And so I just think that's where the future is. And especially with everything going digital and the expansion of AI, we need more in-person communities.
Yeah.
So I
I
think
love
events is
that.
that person.
It just reminds me of that Maya Angelou quote, right? So people won't remember what you said or what you did, but they'll remember how you made them.
100%.
And that
Mhm.
experience, and that's Wendy and I talk about the party and that whole experience, and we talk about the Alpha Gala.
Mm.
That was so cool, and we felt connected. We
Mhm.
felt
Mhm.
inspired. We
Mhm.
had a great time. We met wonderful people. We heard amazing stories. So it was, we remember how we felt, and
Mhm.
and that's gonna be part of the ethos of and the center point of your agency. It sounds like
Yes. Yeah.
people feeling a certain way because you're curating these amazing experiences for.
So
Mhm.
I'm curious, like, how much of the audience feeling goes into the design of an event?
That's what
Are you just hoping that they feel a certain way, or is like, what does the creative process look like?
That's our starting point. So
Mm,
clients come for us or come to us for different event or brand activations. So um, right now, for example, this morning I had a call with a client who has a conference coming up in Chicago.
okay.
And so it's primarily early career professionals, students. And so we're really connecting with the Gen Z audience. And so that's our starting point
Okay.
of, and they're also a Latino focused organization. So how do we connect with Latino businesses, empowering them, connecting that story, but also having people feel something and it's center post of being in Chicago, connecting to that place. How are they always going to remember it?
Right.
What swag pieces are going to be memorable that they want to keep in their houses forever for 20 plus years and
Mhm.
go back to that time and say, wow, I remember when I was in those rooms and I met those people and I met some of my best friends that I carry with me in my careers. Like that's where we start. And so brand activations, right? We want to make sure people understand what the brand is, but also feel it connects to them and it speaks to them. And then we design the event, also strategically. So every partner is different. We want to make sure that we're generating revenue for the partners as well. And so, how do the audience take things away where they want to buy more or they want to consume more? They want to upgrade memberships, whatever that looks like. And so, it's a full picture perspective. It's not just what's going to run the event really well, 'cause that's
Right.
part of the experience,
Right.
but also what's going to make you memorable, what's
So
going to expand that.
when you go to an event,
Hmm.
like it's not your event, you're going to an event.
Yep.
What feeling is it that you have when you walk away where you're like, man, what a great event?
I will say if I was really thought of and cared for, if it's a women-focused event, for example, um, if there's intentionality behind the experience of things being really women-centered, I love that. I love that versus just the general swag, right? If it's a larger community, you will more than likely see me bring a plus one. So I'm either bringing a friend or I'm bringing my husband. And so, like, how do we both feel? Did he
Right.
feel connected? Do I feel connected? Did it reach both of us in
Yeah.
the right way? And if not, why? I'm one of
So
those people that dig in.
so it's more personalized, and you
Yes.
kind of and,
Yeah.
and do you feel like a lot of companies miss the mark on that brand activation, right? So sometimes people just focus on the logo and the colors
Yep.
and there, but it really is about how people are experiencing your brand.
Right.
And so it sounds
Yeah.
like that's kind of what you do is you help them understand what is it that you want your customers or your partners or your
Mhm.
investors to experience, with your
Yes.
brand.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. So when being on the company side, working at a Fortune 100 company, everything was kind of just like, is our logo on it, right? And when we
Yeah.
think about the swag,
Yeah.
is it, the pens and the
Yeah.
notebooks? Those are great, right? But
Unless the
it's
pen
not.
sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, because
That's
then I'm
true.
like,
You get
oh, you put your
complaints.
yeah.
Nobody wants those. But that's what everyone is doing. So why
Exactly.
are you memorable? So what I did, one of my first projects was I said, let's throw out the swag for the first time. let's bring experiential pieces. And so instead of notebooks, it costs us the same money to do conchas for an alpha event we were doing, ironically, for Latino students. And then we did a sales professional event. That was like lint rollers, but also like portable chargers when they're on the go, but they're very light. And
They
so
feel thought of.
yeah, it's
Right.
like, how are you going to grow in your career? What is this piece of swag going to mean? Not just a journal that fits every box. How do we engage with this specific audience at this event? Are we being thought of? Right. I think that's what people feel and they take away. If it's a food item, if it's a photo booth or a fun, dynamic space where they got to take a picture of, but they thought it was really cool, that's what's memorable, not the notebook that they'll stuff in a drawer.
Well, but at your birthday party, though, you had journal books.
Yes,
and you
I did.
had professional people doing calligraphy.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
And then they personalized that.
Yeah.
And so my wife and I, we were like, well, we're going to do one for our daughter, our 18-year-old daughter, and our adult son is 30. They love journaling.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did something personalized for
Right.
them, and we went back home and they love it.
Yay.
They were part of the experience.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. And there's ways to make journals really cool like that.
That's really neat.
But yeah, you can also like personalize a journal to if it's a fitness event. Are you doing a fitness journal, for example?
Oh, yeah.
Are you writing a note from the founder inside?
Yeah.
Are you, there's certain ways you can really engage an audience just other than a rule notebook.
So when does an event end?
I'd say for us and our agency, it's after typically like 60 days after the ROI analytic report we deliver.
Okay.
What did we measure? What does success look like? And then it starts all over again because we're going to plan it again next year or the next time.
And then, from an audience perspective,
Mhm.
like when we do our extraordinary after dark comedy shows, which we do once a month at our friend's brewery, 100 Mile in Tempe, the event doesn't end at 9:30.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that if they can think of something that made them laugh a week later,
Mm-hmm.
then the event lasted a week.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so when it comes to like that engineering of experiences and feeling memorable and feeling thought of, like how long, what's the shelf life on a memory?
I think it depends. Like if we're thinking of conferences, we want them to be those pieces that stood out to you forever, right? We want it to be a place you traveled to and you made friends at and you keep in your office. You have pieces that are kind of behind you. You might have a book on a shelf,
Right.
but it's something you took away and it was signed by the author, whatever that looks like. For local events, right? I think it depends. For the Alpha Phoenix Gala, that was something we wanted to be really, really memorable for the community. And so I'd say, kind of those local, like let's say a Pilates, right, event, probably at least 6 months, right? Because
Okay.
we want the consumer to continue engaging with the brands that were there
Yeah.
until we can come top of mind again with the next event or whatever that looks like. So I guess it varies.
Yeah. And sometimes if some of those things that are, gifts that are given away to people, I mean, that's how you extend that experience, right?
Yes.
So like,
Mhm.
I went to a golf tournament for Adelante Healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
And they give us really cool sweaters and a hat
Yep.
with their logo, very iconic.
Right.
And of course, I went home and my adult kids took them away from me. Like, oh, but my son wears that hat. He's like,
Yeah.
I love this hat. It's iconic. Make sure you tell their CEO there,
Yeah.
Pedro
Right.
Cones, that
Right.
Right.
I love their hat. And so he's like their brand ambassador now.
Oh, I love
Quality
it.
house.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
Well, I think too, sometimes it's not necessarily the thing that you think it's going to be. Like, I remember I got this pair of Oakley sunglasses, the first time I ever bought a nice pair of sunglasses for myself in my early 20s. And it came with a free, like, fake leather jacket.
Okay.
I lost the Oakleys the next week in a river.
Ah,
Still have the jacket. Love the jacket. Favorite
love it.
jacket. It's, like, there's always like these like additional things. So like, how do you create additional potential brand touch points intentionally?
Mm-hmm.
If it's, because I came in for the sunglasses,
Yeah.
but I wear Oakley every winter because I have this free jacket,
Right.
right?
Right. Great question. So it all depends on the intentionality, right? And so I'll just pick on the golf clinic experience. We started with a golf clinic. We wanted people to learn how to play.
Mm,
And then we created experiences kind of as drip campaigns to bring people out to play golf together. And then we created a youth league for people's children to come and participate and
brilliant.
learn golf.
Mm.
Now we're evolving it and we're bringing in different golf attire this year
Okay.
for accessible to our members, not just our board members. And so it always looks different. It evolves. I think that that's important for brands to understand as well, that what's true 5 years ago and what worked then isn't going to work now, especially with the target audiences. There's always new trends. There's always things that connect with them really differently. A lot of companies were giving out plastic swag 10 years ago. Gen Z will come onto your table and actually question you.
Right.
I've seen it firsthand. Question the recruiters and say, "Is this plastic? And how dare you not have things that are
They're
sustainable?"
more socially conscious.
Right. They're very conscious. It's really important to them.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, I'd
Yeah.
rather you have nothing at all instead of having plastic. And
Yeah.
so it all depends on that experience and what people
Yeah.
take away. But if you're intentional on designing it, right,
Right.
those brands are going to last 10 plus years, like the Masters. Every time I go to a golf course, I'm at Waste
Right.
Management, people are wearing their Masters hats. People are wearing, I was wearing Ryder Cup gear because I went to the Ryder Cup last year. I can't tell you how many people came up to me and was like, "Did you find that online? How did you get that?" I was like, "I went in person. I bought it." And they were like, "Oh, I wanted some, but you can get a limited time." So
All right. I'm going to sign up for that golf clinic. I'm
Good.
going
There
to
it
be
is.
there.
Good. I
So,
can't wait.
so you're very driven. You're starting a new agency. You're still leading and supporting ALPFA and whatever, all the other things you're doing. I know you just got back from vacation with your husband. How do you maintain that resiliency and that energy and that focus?
Great
How do
question.
you take care of Yasmin, right? Your health, your mental health,
Yes.
and your well-being, and as an entrepreneur now.
Yes. So when I started my business, this is really important to me because it dropped when I was working in corporate. Fitness is a part of the business. I treat it like a meeting. And so
Treat it like a meeting.
I do.
Love it.
So I have a very strict workout schedule at my gym. I go to Lifetime. So any Lifetimers, you get this.
Yeah.
Like the classes are all included. I love it. But I know the teachers I love. I know the people I get to see, I say hi with. It's important to me to have that community, but also it's a part of my business. My health, how I feel, having that strict regimented schedule, and I can't skip it. Right. It's a
Yeah.
non-negotiable. People cannot book me during these times on Mondays,
Yeah.
Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturdays.
Love that.
I love that fitness is part of the business.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
mean, if
It's a
you're
business
healthy
meeting.
and
Yeah.
you're well, yeah, it's a business
For
meeting.
sure.
Mhm.
I love that. Yeah, you
Mhm.
kind of, that's part of your schedule, right?
It is.
So
Yep.
if you're healthy and you're well,
Mhm.
then your business is gonna run successfully, right?
Well, I think it
So,
also goes to like the image, right?
Mhm.
Like you have to fit in with your own brand. Like,
Mhm.
uh, you know, it's like taking advice from the doctor who smokes, right?
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
Right. It's
like
important.
how important is alignment with yourself and your business when it comes to your brand?
For me, it's everything because when people come to Agency 27 and they speak with our team, right? Oftentimes they've saw it from my own social media, especially as we're just getting started in our first year. That's the main source of outreach. People are on my LinkedIn, people are on our Instagram. And so we're very founder led. And so we want to make sure that people understand what our vision is, how we started,
Mhm.
what is the why, what is Yasmin's experience as a founder, and why are we bringing that into the expanded team. And so having people be able to understand the story, understand the background, understand the intentionality and the purpose,
Mm.
it's really important. But if they don't see me speaking, right, or doing what I share, they're not going to believe us. They're not going to
Mhm.
trust us, and that will be broken. And so we really have to ensure that it's intentional. Like for me, as an example, being on vacation, I didn't skip my gym
Right. Yeah.
regimen. I also stood working. I posted pictures on our cruise ship. I'm on the balcony with the laptop taking client meetings. I was in the middle of the jungle in Bali calling one of our clients. And so understanding that balance is also everywhere. It's what you make it as the individual. How you enjoy your life and live an extraordinary life, right? It's defined by what you make of it, but what you enjoy. And so you've got to share it out.
That's
I
powerful.
love it.
Oh my gosh, that's great for the audience
Yeah.
to take
Yeah,
some notes on that.
100%.
I took notes on that. I mean, that's excellent. What's next for Yasmin? What's next for Agency 27?
Mhm.
What's next for Alpha? I mean, what are the big goals that you're setting your sights on next?
Yeah, so I'll start with Alpha. Right
Yeah.
now, I'm focused on succession planning and finding that next leader to build out our mission. But we're really busy on. We're actually planning the golden year 2027 right now,
Nice.
and so we're leading it with a blueprint. For Agency 27, we're expanding our business. We have a lot of clients. Funny enough, just because of how big the Alpha National Network is, my network with Nationwide, I traveled everywhere. I have
Right.
clients kind of all across the country.
Yeah.
I want to build more in Phoenix. I
Okay.
would love to, just our home base. And so expanding the business, growing it, we want to be the first point of contact people call if they want to have a conference in Phoenix or they're having a big sales meeting. They're bringing everyone together. They know Agency 27 is the go to.
Mm.
So that's there. And then, more broadly, we are setting our sights on expanding into other businesses in the future. Maybe we were talking about before we started the podcast recording,
Right.
books, how important that is to all three of us.
Yeah.
So maybe in the future, a five year plan might have books in the future.
Yeah.
And so just having the open mind of not knowing everything, you can't plan everything.
Right.
And so have some fun with it. Have some fun in where the business will go and the different events we're going to create. Agency 27 will have our own hosted events more this year outside of our launch party, just to bring the community in together and experience fun
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
creating those experience more broadly. So lots in motion, I'll say, for all
Yeah.
three.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, I believe everybody has a good book in them.
For sure.
And I think
Mm,
several people have more than one book. I
Yeah.
think you do. As an extraordinary leader, living an extraordinary life. Um, I mean, it's been, as I mentioned, inspiring to meet with you. I'm excited about how we can collaborate together to support one another moving
Yes.
yes,
forward.
yes.
For sure.
That's what this is about, right,
All about
Shannon?
collaboration. How can we get people to collaborate? Because there's, connections are only so good,
Mm,
right?
hmm.
Like, what's the point of having a bunch of connections if you don't actually collaborate and
Right,
build something with
right.
them? And that's the whole point of extraordinary, is to connect extraordinary people to others so that they can collaborate and build something, well, extraordinary. We ask this question to every guest that comes on Extraordinary Stories.
Okay.
If there was one piece of advice that our listeners could take from you today on how to live more extraordinarily like you, what would it be?
Be unapologetically and authentically yourself. And if that gets you doors slammed in your face, that's okay. Those are not your people. You need to understand your own authenticity, and that is what's going to drive you. That's what's going to bring out your superpowers, energize you. Whether that's career, whether that's your own business, whether that's starting a community, find what makes you you, and your people will come.
There you have it.
Find what makes
Yeah.
you you, and your people will come. I love it. You can read more about Yasmin at joinextraordinary.com. That's JOINEXTRAORDINARY.com and at Join Extraordinary on all of our socials. I'm Forbes Shannon.
I'm Tomás León.
Yasmin Rivera-Klein.
Awesome. Thanks for being here. We'll see you guys next time.